You just
Okay.
click on that.
Yeah, we're moving. We're preparing to live stream.
All right, and then we just wait until that is completed.
That's right. And then I'm supposed to mute something.
Yes. Just click on that.
Yeah, okay. We're moving. We're preparing to live stream.
All right, and then we just wait until that is completed.
That's right. And then I'm supposed to mute something.
Yeah.
Mute my voice because I'm repeating.
Yeah.
Well, this is the part the way the reason I asked you to well, okay, let's try this.
Okay, it's going live.
Okay, I just muted it now.
Okay, great.
So there's no feedback like he was saying, and now we'll just go back to screen share again.
That's all good.
All good. Yeah. Now for some reason the screen is very it's minimized here. Let's see. Oh, maybe I have to, okay, full screen. Oh, what happened there? Yay! Okay. Woo. Hi, Yoko. I don't know if she's on or not. All right. Now, what's going on here? Do you see all this other gobbledygook on here? Environment committee. Okay. Well,
All I see is the agenda.
yeah, I've got some other stuff here that I have to get rid of because it's not just the agenda. It's all kinds of stuff. It's basically oh, here's Jesse. Okay. It looks a lot like Facebook. I'm just trying to get out of here. Maybe I just click it. Nope. Oh, frustrating.
Did you close the window for the live stream the meeting? Did you close that window, George?
No, I didn't. That's probably what I'm contending with right now.
And then you
where is that?
just go back to your Zoom meeting screen.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to do. Okay. Sorry, folks. I'm not seeing how I get out of there.
Oh. Maybe if you go to the top bar and then your toolbar will show up, and go to the Zoom meeting dialog box.
Dialog box. Okay, here we go. Sorry, I'm not sure what you're talking about. The dialog box is.
It's just a bar going across the top of your screen.
Okay, yeah. And where am I? What am I looking for?
Just click on it. It should open. You can pause the recording too, George.
Should have you running these meetings, Sylvia.
No, I'm just learning this new part too. But you could pause.
I mean, everybody can see the agenda, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to get rid of this other stuff down below, which is connected to the municipality of Municipal. It's yeah. It's the YouTube part that we're trying to get rid of here. I has stop live stream, which is not what we want to do, right?
Can you put it on pause?
On the stop live stream?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Why would I want to do that?
Until it gets set up.
It already is set up. It's just that I'm seeing another screen here that I can't seem to get rid of. Add the key. Well, it looks like Yoko must be watching. I see somebody's watching. One watching right now. Unmute.
She's at another meeting. She must have it
Is
open.
she?
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, YouTube. Here we go. Maybe I can get rid of that. I've got somehow, Sylvia, I've got YouTube in here. And I'm trying to, I can't seem to eliminate it. If I could even just manipulate the agenda so that I could actually see it, I just leave whatever I have down below because you folks can't see it. However, it is freezing the agenda for me, so I can't move the agenda.
Not being tech savvy here, but before we tried to live stream, I could hear you, I could see the agenda, I could talk to everyone. What's the advantage to live streaming?
Yoko wanted to have it live streamed so she could look at it later on. That's why we did live streaming. But you're right, it was working fine. It's just that exit full screen. Let's see. Let me try this.
Could we just record it?
It is, yeah, and it's being recorded and we
Being
can always
Oh,
save
it's being
it.
recorded anyways. Hmm.
Yeah, because it's 20 after 5 and it seems like we're always playing till 5:30, getting it going.
I hear you, but we're stuck, Joanne. I mean, it's if I could just do what Bruce said and just close everything out and go back to the that's what I'm trying to get out of this. But it's kind of like we got into this and now I'm having trouble getting out of it unless I just shut us all down and go back and I don't know.
That might be the easiest, just to everybody leave and then come back. That might be the easiest.
Well, yeah, it might be. It seems a little. I know it's frustrating. Don't worry. I'm very frustrated myself. And just YouTube home. Exit YouTube. No. All right. Now. All right, I think we are we, okay. I can control, I am now able to control the agenda. Are you folks able to see the agenda?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, I think we're, okay, I think we're ready to rock and roll again. Let me just move everybody out of the way here. Okay, so we have moved and seconded, excusing Yoko. We have the agenda. Has everybody had a chance to see the agenda? Yeah, okay, now we got to get to the, hang on for a second. I'm gonna, let's see. I just have to find. Okay. All right, I have now put up. All right, we will move on. Unless you, what I will do with some of these votes and things is just if you're not voting for the motion, then let me know. Okay, the agenda. We need a mover and seconder. Same thing. Anne and Bruce. All in favor? I assume that's good. No pecuniary interest. All right. Same thing for the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to see the minutes? Does anybody want to make a comment on the minutes? Are they good to go? This minute, let's see. Okay. All right. Next, no delegations. We'll look at the work plan then. Curbside swap. Joyce, do you want to speak to anything? With all this warm weather, you want to have a curbside swap next week?
Well, we could. End of March. Do you think it's safe with the pandemic kind of things
No, I'm kind of half joking. I think between the pandemic and we still have snowbanks and things like that, I think we better wait.
yeah.
So
end of
no,
April.
does anybody have any suggestions, comments to modify anything regarding the curbside swap goal? Okay. Exploring the composting options. I see that the Survey Monkey is online now.
Yep.
All right.
So I'll give an update here, George.
Yeah.
So yes, the survey is live. I worked with Brian. We did a few more edits and tweaks to a couple questions, and it went live. We talked today and or last night. The bulletin had some questions about the survey, so about why we're doing it, what we're looking to gather, kind of the background of it. So I provided some comments and some feedback to the bulletin on basically where the composting survey came from and how the Environment Committee, or why the Environment Committee wants to pursue it. So I sent those back to Brian, so he's going to feed those back to the bulletin. So there'll be an article in the bulletin about it as well. As of this morning, we had 180 replies or
Wow.
on the composting survey.
That was great.
So good feedback, and we're going to keep it open for 3 weeks. So Brian's going to run it till March 21st. And after that, hopefully we'll have some results and we'll be able to discuss them at our April meeting.
Okay, that's
Great.
I don't know what happened. I had trouble opening that up. Has anybody else had?
No, it was okay for me.
I managed to. Mhm.
If you
Okay,
go to the municipal website, it's on the municipal website as well. If you don't want to go at it or don't want to open it through Facebook.
okay. Yeah, I tried to open it through Facebook. I'll go to the municipal website.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just add something to that? I shared, is that okay, George? Can I
Yes.
talk?
Yes.
Okay. I shared the municipal Facebook one to the other Facebook pages, Hudson and Sioux in area. And there are a lot of comments, and I really had to bite my tongue about responding to anything. What I thought I would do is I will go through all those comments and I will, gather up all the negativity stuff, and then maybe we can use it as an education piece.
Oh,
So-
okay.
What kind of negative comments, Anne?
Oh, everything from the bears are going to come in and, no way are you going to do that. And then you get all these bugs and you get this, that kind of stuff. So,
Okay.
it's more, and I wanted to respond. Oh, another one is it's better to go in the landfill because it helps decompose the plastic, which of course we know when you bury that, all it does is create methane gas, right? So
That was in my response to the bulletin too. So
yeah.
that'll
So
go in the article.
anyway, I thought, well, rather than being a lurky-loo, I'm just going to gather all the negative comments, and then maybe we as a committee can come up with an education piece.
Good idea.
Yep,
I think
very
you
good
should
idea.
print them out and we'll have a ritual burning.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Okay.
A question about composting.
Yes.
Yeah, did we get any more information about that item that Vicky in Vicky's whatever it was, her newsletter about?
At the airport you're talking about?
Yeah.
And maybe Jody can speak to that. I don't know.
Nothing further. This process project is still fairly early in its conception, so
Mm-hmm.
I think they're just kind of, yeah, getting the ball rolling and see where it goes.
Okay.
Alrighty. So thank you, Joe and Bruce, for your work on the survey. That's great. It's sounds like we're getting a really great response.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else about the composting then? Was there anything further that you had from Nova Scotia, Joyce, before we move on? Oh, did I block? Am I muted or what?
Oh, I
Joyce?
can hear you.
Okay. Joyce doesn't look like she hears me. But anyway, okay. Communication and education. Do we have anything to add to that? I think we haven't really done anything in the last month. I guess you could consider the composting survey as part of that, but all right. Community garden. Gee, Joanne, you're gonna have to start turning the soil in another week or so.
Oh my gosh, I'm just so ready. I have a question. Can we spend our money this year?
Yeah, committee has received their $2,500, so.
But are we going to be able to spend it?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, they haven't said we can't, so the budget was approved.
Okay, it's just that I'm going to need some more soil, and before fall, I want to buy more fertilizer before it runs out, because last year they ran out and couldn't get any more because I guess everybody was gardening through COVID. So we can discuss that later. I think that was about it. Yeah. I just have to, once the snow melts, I've got to get in there and see what beds need to be repaired and then go through the rec center to see if the guys can come and do that. Because I'm sure there's going to be a few that need repairs. Other than that, just waiting for it to melt.
Okay, and I think that getting what you need for the community garden, I don't think we have to make any kind of motion towards that. I don't. It's an ongoing thing, right?
Well, if we're spending the money from the municipality, yes, but I do have the monies from the rental, so hopefully that will cover it.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Moving on to municipal projects review. Anything to add to this, Jody?
I guess the one thing we're currently doing, and the RFP just closed, is going to be coming to the March meeting, is we're doing kind of like a selective demolition at the Mayfair Theater. We're removing all the designated substances like asbestos and mercury and things like that to be properly disposed of, and then kind of removing everything from the inside down to the studs in essence, and part of the project, to recycle anything that can be recycled and salvage anything that can be salvaged was in the RFP, and that's in some of the proposals we got, they've specified that in there. So the idea here is to do this demolition to kind of further investigate the building to confirm that it's structurally sound, and then hopefully someday we'll see that building brought back to life.
Oh,
Okay. So reusing the materials that can be reused it was part of the request for what do you call it?
RFP, yes. Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, there's probably not a lot. I mean, it'd be more about recycling the steel and things like that, because the building's in pretty rough shape.
What about insulation?
It's in pretty rough shape.
A lot of
pigeons in the ceiling, and there really wasn't a lot of insulation in the walls or anything to begin with. So
okay, all right. Thanks, Jody. Environmental recognition. Gee, Ann, you snuck that one in the last meeting, eh? She's muted.
I'm just waiting for, did we have that in the minutes?
You did.
Okay,
So, yeah.
well then, George, I need a picture of you riding your bike in the wintertime.
Yeah, okay.
Because your son and I have been conspiring and I haven't gotten any pictures yet. And then you rode up to the rec center and I lost my camera, so I didn't have an opportunity to get a picture. But that's what I'm waiting for before I recognize you. So,
Okay, all right.
okay.
I thought maybe I could stand in front of my fence that I made out of pallets, and
I
could
love that.
have my bicycle.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can do that too. So,
Right. Does anybody else have anyone on their environmental recognition list? I don't hear anybody, so I'll move on. Joyce?
No, I was just gonna say, we've gone through a lot of people and I'm sure. Mm.
You're speaking of your connection. We're not getting all of your audio, Joyce.
Maybe just everybody has, maybe we have to all keep our ears open for people that we think would be suitable. But as you say, we're kind of, we've kind of run out of ideas for it.
Well, I
Do
think
they have-
everybody, from what
Do they have to be people from Lookout, or can they be from Dryden, for example, or?
No, we're
Houston?
we're the Sioux Lookout Environment Committee. Dryden wants to do it, they can do it. I don't think we're going to be, you know, we could, yeah, we could have
Yeah,
Greta
well,
Thunberg if we wanted to. Okay. All right. Well, it's hopefully it's on everybody's mind to, if they see something, then bring it to the next meeting. If you see somebody who's doing something that qualifies for environmental recognition. Okay, adaptation to climate change. I think this one we've kind of done most of that, but if there's anything,
yeah, we did a newspaper article last year. I suppose it would be something just to keep in mind in our policies or in our contracts that, this be adaptation and climate change be kept in the back of our mind, and higher points for contractors that take that into consideration in the tendering process.
I think you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Jody, but I think that is usually part of the RFPs anyway, when you're looking for contract with contractors. Is that not right? Didn't you say that?
Yeah, depending on what we're doing, absolutely.
Yeah.
Can I speak, George?
You sure can.
I just wanted to let you know that I am attending the Bill Gates meeting on March 10th, and I have received his book, How to Avoid Climate Disaster. And maybe what we can do, I mean, after I attend that, and after I've read the book, I can share it. But anyway, I mean, maybe we should be, as part of our education piece, again, like you were talking, George, about the Current and how Bill Gates was on the Current. And so I downloaded all the podcasts. Mm-hmm. And I mean, these are things that we could be just, have a listen to this, like an education piece again. Because there's still a lot of naysayers in this community about climate change and, global warming and those kinds of things. And so maybe we can be putting out little snippets of education pieces.
Yeah, good idea.
How would we do that? I mean, would you do that through Facebook, or how would you do that?
Well, I guess we could do it through Facebook. We could, maybe get another thing in the newspaper. I really feel like our poor newspaper must be starving for, money. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe we could get it put on the municipal Facebook page and then it could be shared from there, that kind of thing. So,
Right. I think that's a great idea. I mean, just a lot of times if it pops up on Facebook, you're more likely to check it out as opposed to search it out.
yeah, yeah.
Sure.
So after I've attended this, I'll find out whether or not I have any, because apparently this book is written, so it's not a scientific book, it's written for the average person to understand what it is about a climate disaster. So
Mm-hmm. There's an interesting article in the Manchester Guardian. You could, I don't know if you could get that online, but it's a bit of a critique of Bill Gates, both the pros and the cons of his approach to climate change. Anyway, yeah. Okay, anybody else want to add anything about the adaptation to climate change goal? Okay, locally sourced food and sustainability. I guess the chicken bylaw, I guess, is coming up, so we'll discuss that when we get to other business. Anything else about locally sourced food and sustainability that people want to discuss or add?
I
Okay.
was wondering, is there somewhere that there's, because the co-op is no longer running, is there like a list of where we can buy locally sourced meat and vegetables? Like Cornell Farms, for example, but like there's a wait list with them for months.
there's also I mean, we bought some beef from I think it's called the Northern Farmers or something, and they have their beef at the abattoir in somewhere outside of Dryden. Is it Eagle Lake or somewhere in there? Now there is a hydroponic guy in Dryden who does amazing produce, but he doesn't produce enough that he can come up here anymore. He gets it's all sold out down in the Dryden area. So, but let me look and I will try, or I maybe will contact Jen Springett because she's still involved in that, and maybe we can get a list of people. So.
Yeah, I was thinking like as full a list as possible should be shared on Facebook, on our Facebook monthly, because I'm always looking for some, and I can never find like a list. It's always word of mouth, and it's not a full list.
Would the Chamber of Commerce have a list of the people that come in for the market?
Well, it's not just people in the market now. It's also where can you get it, like, because it's all delivery or through the mail. Like,
Oh, okay.
I would rather buy locally as much as like directly from the farmers, as much as I can, than go to stores, because if I don't have to go shopping, I'm happy. But yeah, I'd love to see a comprehensive list, because I can find a ton if I search, but then if I look deeper into those companies, they're not really local, though they tell me they are.
Okay,
So-
let me find out from Jen what I can for who's still producing, because I know that some of the people that produce the eggs and all that kind of stuff, they've basically retired. So, and they're selling their farm, which is really sad because they had amazing produce and stuff like that. So, yeah, let me check into it.
Okay, so you'll bring that back to the next meeting then, Ann?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
Any other things that people want to talk about as far as locally sourced food and sustainability? Okay. Waste diversion. All right. So I can't recall whether or not we requested or we asked to get a copy of the bylaw that Fort Francis has initiated regarding their, I think it's Fort Francis, regarding their single-use plastic ban. Was that something that we acted on, or Jody was? Okay, go ahead.
Get it?
Sorry, whoever said that was kind of, I cut off.
Joanne, I remember talking about it and I can't remember who said they were going to check into it.
That's right. That was my recollection as well. Is that something, Jody, that should come from you or from someone in the municipality, or?
I'm not really sure. I might, I mean, I could reach out to the building official down there and see if he can find it for us. So what is it? Single-use plastics?
Yeah, Fort Francis has banned single-use plastics. And so I think that that's part of our goal, is to do the same in Sioux Lookout. And since they've already drafted a bylaw, the other thing is we could pull, if we could also pull up the bylaw that we initially passed years ago and take a look at the two of them and see whether or not we want to make a proposal to a recommendation to the council to follow through with a plastic single-use plastic ban.
I think it
And
was just plastic bags, wasn't it? Was it,
No.
or was it all single use? Was it?
No, it's not just plastic bags. It's like plastic cutlery, plastic, pardon?
Straws.
Straws, takeout containers. I think there's quite a list, I believe. That's why I would like to get a copy of it, just to see, whether or not it's something we could just copy, or whether we could tweak it to fit Sioux Lookout or whatever.
Well, if we went on the Fort Francis Municipal site, perhaps it's there.
Perhaps.
I know that Brian sent us the original bylaw and all the documents that originally we proposed. Maybe I have that in my tickle trunk of documents on my computer. I'll have to look at it. I'll look for it.
Okay, so perhaps if Jody, you could see whether or not your connections in Fort Francis would be able to pull that up, and anybody else who wants to go on the Fort Francis site to see whether it's there. Well, let's make it an action that we bring it to the next meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I have a problem with the waste reduction week. It's coming up in October. We're still going to be in the middle of COVID, I'm sure, because not everybody's going to be vaccinated. It's been a bit of a bust. I mean, we could advertise it, but I don't know. I know that, Sylvia, correct me if I'm wrong, we had proclaimed, waste reduction week, but you said we needed to have some kind of action or some kind of event around it to have it proclaimed.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yes, that's right, Ann.
So I mean, it's not until October, so I think we could probably put it on the back burner, but we should think about it, because it really, we tried to do, what is your best practice and all that kind of stuff. And it, people jumped on the bandwagon and then it fizzled right out. Anyway, we can think about it.
Yeah, we have lots of time. Okay,
Make one comment, George, about the, the single-use plastic. Given that the federal government is apparently bringing this down within the next couple of years, do you think it's worth our effort to go this route if it's going to be coming down from higher?
I have thought about that a lot, and I've thought about just what you said. And the reason that I feel we should go ahead with it is, number one, they said that I think a couple of years ago, or at least if we wait until the federal government makes this ban, it might be a couple of years. And to me, it's also it's an action that will perhaps get people thinking about other things that are single use that we have, that we could be buying things that are reusable as opposed to single use.
I agree. And I mean, given the fact that, there could very well be an election coming up very soon. Who knows what the next government is going to do? So I think we should just plow on and try and make some change locally.
Mm-hmm. And I even though we had quite a pushback from the business community last time, I think the situation has changed quite a bit. I'm not sure that we would get quite the pushback as we got last time, but anyway, we can deal with that when time comes, I guess. Okay, so we will set it as an action for any of us to come to the next meeting with a copy of the Fort Francis bylaw. All right, smoke-free zones. Yay, way to go. Good job,
Yeah,
Bruce.
super.
Hey. So we just have to extend it for the rest of the summer, but good to start with. Good to start with May and June. I thought maybe, Anne, you were going to take a picture of my front yard for this recognition thing, but anyway.
I can just give me lots of pictures and then I'll figure it out. The only thing I know, it was discussed that maybe we could spend some of our money having these bee-friendly kind of yards, signs that we could provide people that are doing the mow-free zones.
Yep.
Anyway, thoughts?
Yes, I think that's great.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. We I guess, well, we're into March now. I guess perhaps we need to research whether or not there's I don't know whether some of the sign people in Sioux Lookout could come up with a sign. What do you think? Maybe we could approach them and see what they could offer us.
Cat's Paw Printing does our Planning Act signs, and there's just like a small sign. I think they're fairly cheap. Sylvia can speak to how much they are. I can't recall, but I'm not sure about design and stuff, but I think he could help us out.
They're $12 a piece,
Okay. Well,
and they're bigger than what we would actually need them for what you're looking for. So they would probably be less than that, and they come on wire stakes.
okay.
Maybe we could get a price from both places and come back to the meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an April meeting. Okay, I'll put that on my to-do list, because what the heck else have I got to do, right? So I will
Exercise.
approach. Yeah, I know. Cat's Paw, and just see about what a bee-friendly yard sign would look like. Okay.
So you're doing both of them, signatures?
I'll do both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I'll send you a template, and I just found a good one that says, "Pardon the weeds, I'm feeding the bees." So.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Good job, Joe. Okay.
He's
All right.
multitasking here.
I got two screens.
I just wanted, after I saw that we had approval to do the composting survey and the bee friendly months were approved, I thought we're on a bit of a roll here, aren't we? Okay, maybe we'll hit up against the brick wall here. The keeping of the chickens. All right, so the decision is to not do anything about any kind of a bylaw, just to allow the status quo and to deal with any conflicts through a mediation process. So who wants to speak to that?
I don't have a problem with that. I do know that there is one chicken keeper that maybe feels that a lot of, there needs to be more knowledge. And maybe that, again, would be an education piece that we could put out there that, do you want to learn more about how to keep your chickens well? I don't know. I mean, it's, or maybe we just, pull the ostrich, put our head in the sand and hope that people who want to keep chickens can keep chickens.
Joyce,
Okay,
yeah.
Joyce?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of agree with that, with the approach. I don't agree with the excess regulation that was proposed in one of the reports that we got a couple of years ago. But I am wondering if there shouldn't be something, even if it's just a small thing in the animal bylaw, because I don't know that mediation would work in a case like this if the municipality has nothing to
Background noise, what is
by.
it?
Like even just a thing like a setback. You must keep the odor down. You must be a responsible chicken keeper. You must follow the protocols of chicken keeping, and if you don't, then you can't have your chickens there. But just to that extent, something or another, because there will be complaints come in the future for sure. And we just need to have some parameters, like basically smells and too close to the property are the things that would likely offend neighbors, that is. So I'd like to see something in there a little bit stronger, because I could see that this could come back to a future council if there is a complaint and it's unresolvable. It will come back to a council, and we might get something like really restrictive.
Yeah.
And defeat our purpose. That's all I needed to say.
I think, Joyce, when you started to outline some of the criteria, you would sort of go down that rabbit hole that Brian is trying to avoid, because which of those things are important, which are not important. I suppose somebody has to make a decision about that. But the way I was looking at it, I was trying to see how this fits with the Environment Committee. The way I see the raising of chickens fits with the Environment Committee is we're trying to promote locally sourced food. And since the town has said they would not put any roadblocks up for people who want to raise their own chickens, then what have we got to, how does that, why should we have any other input? Because the present situation where they're not going to impose any regulations on it means that anybody who wants to raise chickens can do so, and that's what we're trying to promote. So I'm not sure how we fit in with, putting regulations on the raising of chickens.
Because we want it to last. We don't want it to be thrown out by a future council when somebody makes a complaint and there's nothing to fall back on. That's basically it, is so that it will last.
I think that rationale applies to the same thing that we're dealing with here. Is the reason this came up is because there's a dispute or a couple little complaints that came up, got brought to council, and now the recommendation is coming that basically, essentially, it's such a minor amount of people that do complain or bring forward. It's just a minor issue. It's not worth the time and the effort and the resources to start patrolling this or policing people's chicken coops. Like, I think that's what it's getting at. And I think it's kind of unreasonable for us to sit here and speculate that an issue could come down the road that, we could get this wiped off the map. Well, if that comes, then hopefully the councilors of the day, if they get a report to council, this decision will be referenced in it and why council chose not to do that. So at the time. So I don't think we can crystal ball here and try and make a decision for something that could or could not happen in the future. I do agree with George that if we are looking to promote locally sourced food and there are no obstacles coming that prevent that, there are other regulations and stuff with animal welfare and looking after animals that could come down that would be applicable. I think that's where we leave it. I think it's a kind of a slippery slope when we say, oh, well, it could smell. You got to keep the smell down. Well, some people's noses are more sensitive. Where's the line there? How do you regulate that? So I think it's just, you got to be careful with that. And I think there's been so few complaints. And the recommendation is that we don't do anything else about it and just let people raise chickens. So I'm okay with that.
I think that most people who have chickens are sensitive to the idea that it might affect their neighbors, and that's the reason we haven't had a lot of complaints, is because most people who are raising chickens try to follow good whatever you want to call it, chicken husbandry or whatever. So anyway, should we have a vote on this, whether or not
There are a few more hands up, I think. I think Jessie had her hand up.
Okay, if you could use the hands up.
Where's the hands up? Because
if you look at participants, you find that, and then you can.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
Okay, I see it now. Okay, thanks, Jessie. Go ahead.
I don't want chickens policed at all, but I do know there were quite a few people that wanted to get into having their own chickens, but the discussion of bylaws coming into effect stopped them because they were waiting to see what was going to happen, and it's taken quite a long time. And I personally find it a little annoying that the municipality has decided to quietly not do anything. Great, don't do anything, but tell people. There's a lot of people who do want chickens, and I think if issues like smell and noise come up, well, that's part of the education of having chickens. I had 14 chickens. There was never a smell. There was never a noise issue except my rooster, but you don't need one. I think the biggest issues, some issues came up because of personal emotional issues, and chickens were the target. Because having chickens doesn't really cause that big of issues. I mean, I had 14. The biggest issues I would see would be pets killing chickens, dogs, cats. But that's all out of the realm of us. I think we should be into promoting raising chickens because it's accessible food. It's the same as gardening in my opinion.
I agree.
And the rest of the people.
Two other hands are up right now, but
okay.
the report the report on the chicken, on not doing anything is coming up in the next municipal meeting. So it's the reason that it hasn't been put out into the public yet is because it actually hasn't been presented to the council. So I'm sure that there'll be something once it's presented to council. Okay, Bruce, you're up, and then Tricia next.
Yeah, you know what? I just kind of go with Joe there, and we just keep it simple. The town's going ahead and allowing people to raise chickens, although Jesse said it's not promoted yet, but you mentioned it will be the next meeting. We're busy enough. We don't have to worry about starting the bylaws for something they're not even interested in making a bylaw for. Keep it simple.
Okay, thank you. Tricia? Yeah.
Thanks, George. So I do agree with Bruce and Joe to just keep it simple and not invest resources in something that is not needed at this time.
Okay. All right, thanks. So based on the number of comments that we have had that support the status quo, I don't think we have to have a vote on this at this point, because
Jody has his hand up.
Oh yes, Jody, yeah, thanks. Sorry, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, sorry, just wanted to speak to some of the comments. I personally live next to somebody who is what you'd consider a bad chicken owner, and the smells were horrendous. And it was a terrible experience, but I'm not somebody who complains. I did have a chat with the neighbor a few times. And I think there are those circumstances too, where people just don't want to get into a big fight with their neighbors, so they don't say nothing and they just deal with it. And speaking to like our zoning bylaw, if it's not specifically permitted, it's not permitted. So, and I think it's a tricky slope what they're doing, but that being said, it's not the place of the Environment Committee, I would say. I think you're going down the right path here, that, you know, we don't, in essence, it is supporting what you guys want to happen, is that, you know, allowing people to have chickens basically, and hopefully dealing with the complaints as they come. But unfortunately, without regulations, how do you mediate a complaint if there's no regulations either? But again, that's not up to you guys to deal with. That's something at a municipal level.
Yeah, and I think just to add on to what you just said, Jody, is that you or anybody else on this committee who feels that they need to have regulations so that they can deal with situations like yours can go to council to make a presentation and explain why they feel there should be regulations. But I think everybody's made a good point that it's not up to the Environment Committee to do that, because raising chickens supports our locally sourced food goal. So, okay. So I'm going to put your hand up if you disagree, but I'm going to move on without a vote on what we should do about the proposed status quo for the raising of chickens. For those who had their hands up before, can you take them down so that I know that you're not raising them again? Okay.
You know, I think it would be, just from a procedural point of view, it would be good to have a resolution from the committee in the event that there's a pushback at council, is to say that the Environment Committee supports the recommendation of the clerk. I think that would go a long way to say that, you know, a council appointed committee had discussed this and this was their decision.
Oh, okay. So you want us to make a recommendation to council that they accept the report of the clerk?
Or just to have a resolution that or something, you know, something formal that the Environment Committee supported the clerk's recommendation.
Well, it
In
seems
the event that it comes up, in the event that it's lifted for discussion.
well, I don't know what the semantics of this are, whether it's a resolution or recommendation. I thought the way we presented information to the council is that to make a recommendation.
But don't we through our counselors that are on the committee, Joyce and Joe, wouldn't they then bring to council that the environment committee discussed this and they agreed that it fit with our goal to have, you know, locally sourced food? I mean, do we need anything more than that?
I just think it could be stronger in the event that there would be pushback. I know in the past when I raised things from committees, they said, well, where's the resolution? Where's the minutes and all that sort of thing? And there were none. And so, you know, I just, it's just a little bit more protection in the case that there is a little bit stronger argument. It doesn't matter. I mean,
Well, all it takes is us to say, I would say that the Environment Committee recommends that council accepts the report tabled by the clerk regarding the raising of chickens. All in favor?
That sounds good to me.
Did you get that, Sylvia? I think you're on mute, unless you're driving home already.
Hi. No, I was just writing it down. The Environment Committee recommends that council accepts the report presented by the municipal clerk regarding, oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, keep going.
Regarding the keeping of chickens.
That's right. Okay. So again, how we'll have this. So we need a move. So we have the same movers and seconders then.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good. Bruce, you're in favor?
Bruce is in favor.
Okay. So again, how we'll do this vote is that anybody who does not support the recommendation, raise your hand. Otherwise, we'll assume that everybody supports it.
well, okay. I don't, but I will support it in council. So, cause I do think, but anyway, I'll support the committee in council.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Last item on our agenda here is the septic drying beds. Now, has everybody had a chance to read the bulletin and the information that was presented there, both the article on the drying beds and the letter by Michelle Herinchuk, I think that's the name.
Yes.
Okay, so who wants to comment on this? Raise your hand, please. Oh.
Well,
Anne's got her hand up. Okay, Anne.
I don't know exactly where this area is. Drying beds are very, very important. I mean, people with septic fields have their tanks pumped and it needs to be put someplace. I know that Jody said that right now, this company is putting it in Robbie Baish's drying beds, wherever that is. There have to be areas other than the area this person wants that would be also suitable. I just know that it has to, it's kind of funny because today on Facebook it had the thing, it had one of these little honey wagons and it had said a royal flush beats a full house or something like that. And I mean, that's exactly what people with septic fields do. They have to have these things pumped out. And so whether it goes there because it's more central, whether it goes somewhere else, we just need to support the fact that this person needs an area to put the drying beds. My 2 cents.
Okay, Bruce. And I'll get to you, Joyce, in a minute.
I see there is a need for it, and currently Robert Baish does it. But other than looking at the petition going around, and the main concern I got off it from a Coles note read was they don't care for the proposed location because it is a an active outdoor recreational area. And I seem to want to support that because I do use that area myself as a recreational area. So maybe a better area. I don't know where Bache's fields are, so that's probably a good spot for them. You know what I mean? That's just my 2 cents worth. Thanks.
Okay, Joyce, and then Joe.
Oh, well, I did, yeah, I didn't really have too much of a comment other than in Jody's note, in which he indicated that they've decided to look elsewhere because of the pushback. I think exactly where it is. I'm not exactly sure where it is, and really whether it will impede on the neighbors there. So I'm sort of torn on the issue right now.
Joe?
Yeah, I think the major the more the reason for pushback is about the road too, and the use of the road and the ownership on that. I think that was a bigger push for it. The drying beds are 3 kilometers away from the school, and they're 2.5 kilometers in from the road. The article in the paper referenced old growth forest, but I believe that stand's actually quite young where they're going to put it. You have an old aggregate pit right behind the place where everyone goes to shoot. There's garbage there. I do agree there is a certain amount of recreation there. I think they're trying to get it off that main road that was used for recreation. But again, it's the reason things come to council for public input. It's the reason this process exists, is to have people voice their opinions and voice their concerns, and then have council weigh those concerns. So based on my understanding of this too, with the petition and the initial pushback from Pelican, they are looking elsewhere. There are other considerations for site. You need a flat site. You want something well drained. And you know, you want to keep it obviously away from people's homes. So those are things they're considering, but I do also agree. I think Ann makes a good point. Great point, is that these are needed in the community, so it has to go somewhere. And if we start pushing it further and further away too, well, then if he has to spend more money, time, and gas driving and shuttling people's septic tank stuff further and further out, it's going to increase costs for people that have septic as well. So something else to consider, but I don't know how much we're going to accomplish on this issue, because I do believe they are going to look elsewhere. So.
Well, my family used that area quite a lot, and the one thing that I think is also important is it's the only land access to Sioux Mountain, and a lot of people use that to walk up to Sioux Mountain, drive as far as they can, and walk up. And as far as I understand that the certain soil conditions have to be met. I'm wondering, and I know that they are going to be looking at other sites, and I'm sure that this site has already been talked about. But where the old dump is got wonderful sandy soil. They had a septic pit out there when the dump was operating. And so I think that because we have quite a few areas that are flat and sandy that are relatively close to the community, that don't have either people living close by or people going to school close by, or people trying to access Sioux Mountain. I think that those are 3 good reasons to look for an alternate site.
Does Jody have anything to add?
I can add regarding the former town dump, that option has been investigated, and because it's part of what's called an attenuation zone for the former landfill, that the MECP isn't very supportive of moving a new sludge pit there. They're basically saying we're introducing potential contaminants to a contaminated site. And
So, go ahead.
Oh, so it doesn't seem like they would be supportive of that. I know he's looking at a site west of Hudson right now that was a former sludge pit site, seeing about opening it up again. Yeah, and it's like you say, it's gone to the public portion of the meeting. We're still kind of waiting through the feedback and comments. It won't go until, at least the April meeting to go for decision from council. And that report will kind of try to respond to these comments, and whether, the report's either going to recommend approving or recommend denying.
So just help me out with this comment you made that the Ministry of Environment, or is it, what ministry is objecting to the old dump site?
It's the Ministry of the Environment, Climate Change and Parks, I think.
Right. Okay. So
So
yeah.
MECP. It's not that they're objecting, is that they're not recommending it. They could go through a process to do it, I guess, but it's just, this was just an email conversation, and they just weren't very supportive of it. So we, like I say, that's resulting in them looking elsewhere.
Just the comment you made, or when you repeated what they said, is that they are concerned that you would be introducing contaminants to an area that's already been used as a dump. I'm not sure why they wouldn't be concerned about the contaminants anywhere. Isn't that like, why would they be concerned about contaminants at the old dump site, but not?
Sorry, let me just read what he wrote. I'm telling you, this is just an email. This is just an initial. It's up to the proponent if he wants to go through the processes, try to make it work. So he said, so adding another source of contamination within an attenuation zone will require a decent amount of work to approve. After chatting with my engineer, we realized it would entail an amendment to the waste disposal site ECA. As likely some justification for why the added material would not impact the groundwater contaminant concentrations in a severe manner. In brackets, why the attenuation zone exists. This is certainly not a common situation. In my preliminary assessment, I think it would be easier to look elsewhere for a hauled sewage site.
Okay.
So, and I've now given that information to the contractor, and he also says that if the contractor wants to speak to him, he can. So I've given him the contact info. So I don't know if there's been any dialogue between the two.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Jody. So I guess we've come to a point where various people have commented on this. What should the Environment Committee do? Is there a role for us to make a recommendation, or is this? Can I have feedback from people about what we should do at this point? Okay, Anne.
I don't. Emotion.
I don't know, I guess we are having difficulty with connections here. I didn't, can you repeat that, please, Anne?
The kind of thing.
Yeah, Anne, we're not hearing you. I wonder if you could make your comments through the chat function. Where are we? Sorry, folks. I'm looking for the chat. All right. we can't seem to hear. And as a matter of fact, it looks like she may have gone offline already. So are there any other comments about the role of the Environment Committee? So if I don't hear any other suggestions, then I guess what I'm hearing or not hearing is that as Jody outlined, there'll be a public meeting about this, and any people who object to the present plan can make their objections known. And it sounds as though people are not wanting to formally make any recommendations to council about the location of these drying beds. So if that's what I'm hearing, unless somebody raises their hand to object to that, then I'm going to suggest that we consider this as an information sharing session, that we all were able to find out more about what the plan is and how people can object if they wish to through the public meeting and any other signing the petition. But the Environment Committee will not make any formal recommendation. So I don't see any hands going up, so I will assume that that's the position we'll take. Therefore, the meeting's over unless people have come up with any other thoughts on items that weren't mentioned in the agenda that they would like to speak to now. Joe? Oh, I thought you had your hand up.
I've got my hand up, guy. Just quickly before we go, we talked about the single-use plastic ban. I copied a website to you, George and Joe, the latest from the federal government. That's supposed to be implemented in 2021. I'll email it to everyone. I wasn't sure on the chat function how to share it with everyone in time fashion. But anyways, expect that tomorrow. Maybe you've already known about it.
Okay.
And secondly, no offense, Sylvia, but when we take minutes, I think we need to make action items. So the last meeting, I was tasked with contacting Todd from Fresh Market and contacting Rich Fenlon from the Curation Center to deal with waste diversion with food waste and move zones. The way they're in minutes, it didn't stand out well, and we were discussing. These committees that on, we actually have a dialogue box, for want of a better word, right at the beginning of our minutes that has its action items, and they're numbered consecutively right for one. So if we start next month, we'd start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to eternity. Then when we do review the minutes at the next meeting, there's action items spread right there. Bruce Van Hart to speak with Todd from Fresh. It's just to add continuity for minutes, because of the way they're written right now, I was not asked what my follow-up was. No offense.
So Bruce, I was just scrolling through the agenda to see if business arising from previous minutes is one of the headings. And that's where I usually see those kinds of action items presented. So that
okay, well, let's put the down under business arising from previous action item number 22. Bruce to do this, item number 20, Joe to do this. And then instead of just having broad headline or scroll through the minutes trying to find where our commitments were.
Okay, I agree with that.
just put them all in one spot.
I agree. So, and I think that I think that we should identify in the very, like, usually it's under one of the goals that the action is required. So to me, we should put at when it says Bruce will contact Todd and Rich, then each one of those is an action, which, as you say, should be identified as an action, and then we could also put it in the business arising, so that each time there's someone takes the responsibility. Like, for example, we had a few of them in this meeting where people are going to contact Fort Francis to get the plastic bag bylaw. So that can be put in as an action under that particular goal. And then I think that we should also put all of those actions under business arising from the minutes. Anybody's thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's perfect. I like that, George. Is exactly what I was hoping.
Okay. And is that, how does that work for you, Sylvia?
Yeah, that works well.
Okay. All right.
One-
I think
one-
it's, I think you
quick
make a
thing.
point.
Sorry, one quick thing. Those 2 action items I had for last meeting, I'm still playing phone tag with those guys. So if we could kill 4 in this next meeting as action items, please.
Okay, so we'll put them in for the next meeting. Is that what you said?
That's correct,
Okay.
because they're standing.
Okay, great. Yep. Okay, good comment, Bruce. That's great. So with that said, any other comments on this meeting before we sign off? All right, I guess we're ending the meeting at whatever, 6:31, and thanks everybody for your patience with the Zoom. We're getting a little better each time, but I think the whole YouTube thing kind of messed us up. But who knows? Next time we may be perfect. All
Okay,
right.
thanks, everyone.
Thanks, George. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
George. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Everybody, thank you.
Bye.
Can't leave. I can't leave, George. You won't let me.